Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children, I welcome you all to our online English class. In the last session, we saw the lesson, a house is not a home. So, in this session also we are going to be continuing the lesson children. So, till now we had seen there was a teenager boy, the narrator of the story, he had been facing some issues with a new school because he was finding it difficult to accustom to the new school, and moreover his house had been burned down. So, these were the problems running around with him. Let us continue the lesson and find out what has happened to his house. 5 hours later, the fire was finally out. Our house was almost completely burned down. But then it struck me I hadn't seen my cat. Where was my cat? Much to my horror, I realized that she was nowhere to be found. So, after 5 hours, after 5 hours of struggle, they put down the fire, and you could imagine how much of damage this 5 hours of fire could have caused. The entire house was completely burnt down, and all of a sudden this narrator realized that his cat was missing. So, during those time when the house was burning, he didn't know, they were only thinking about rushing out of the house, saving the mother, saving the documents and all these things. He didn't pay attention to the cat, and only now he has realized that his cat is missing, and after searching he has found out that the cat was found nowhere. Then all at once it hit me, the new school, the fire, my cat. I broke down in tears and cried and cried. I was suffering loss big time. So, this boy was already having some mental tension with the new school, and moreover this tragedy at his house, and now that his cat is missing. So, all together it put him in great distress, and he started crying in vain, and he was in pain all the time. He was experiencing that trauma throughout. The firemen wouldn't let us go back into the house that night. It was still too dangerous. So, he wanted to go back into the house in search of the cat. At least somewhere he could find the cat, but the firemen avoided him to get inside the house because it was still dangerous to get inside the house. Dead or alive, I couldn't imagine leaving without knowing about my cat. Regardless, I had to go. We piled into the car with just the clothes on our backs and a few of the firemen's blankets and made our way to my grandparents' house. So, this boy, the narrator wanted to know, he didn't wanted to leave the place without knowing about the cat, whether he is dead or alive, something he wanted to know regarding the cat, but he wasn't allowed. From there he left along with his mother. They left to the grandparents' house only with certain amount of clothes and the blankets which the firemen gave and some documents which they had. So, they had to leave the place. The next day, Monday, I went to school. When the fire broke out, I was still wearing the dress I had worn to the church that morning, but I had no shoes. I had kicked them off when I was doing my homework. So, this boy was using the same dress the dress which he had worn the day before to the church. So, he was having the same dress, and that day only the fire accident took place. The next day, the following day also, he was wearing the same dress, and there was no shoes because he had kicked off. Kicked off means he removed his shoes while doing his homework. Kicked them means he removed the shoes while he was doing the homework, and they became yet another casualty of the fire. So, I had to borrow some tennis shoes from mother. So, what happened? It became a casualty. Casualty means a victim. The shoe also became the victim. It also got burned down during the fire. So, he had to borrow the tennis shoes. So, he didn't have his own shoes, so he had to borrow the shoes. Why couldn't I just stay home from the school? My mother wouldn't hear of it. but I was totally embarrassed by everything. The clothes I was wearing looked weird, and I had no books or homework, and my backpack was gone. So this boy didn't want to go to the school because he was feeling completely weird. He had lost everything. His dress was old. He didn't have any shoes, and all these things was troubling a boy. Okay, he is a teenage boy. He wanted to look perfect, and his look was making him look weird. So he was feeling embarrassed to go to school. So he thought, why not stay back at home? Okay, why should I even go to school? I had my life in that backpack. The more I tried to fit in, the worse it got. Was I destined to be an outcast and a geek all my life? So the dearest thing which he had was his backpack and the cat. The cat he has lost, and the backpack, and he was trying to fit in everything, means what, he was accommodating everything in the backpack, and it looked so weird and dirty, so he didn't want to use it, and he was distressed. He thought that he has become an outcast. Outcast is a person who is not as accepted. Outcast means, okay, a person who is not accepted. So he felt, okay, whether I am born to be like this, whether I should be left alone like this. That's what I felt like. It felt like I didn't want to grow up, change, or have to handle life if it was going to be this way. I just wanted to curl up and die. So this boy is now vexed too bad. He thinks that if this is going to be life, I can handle it no more. So I prefer to die rather than to live a life like this. So you could see this boy was undergoing such a mental stress. He didn't know how to handle it. He didn't have anybody to guide him over this. So he was undergoing all the stress within himself that he wanted. He was pressurized that he wanted to die. I walked around school like a zombie. Everything felt surreal, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. All the security I had known from my old school, my friends, my house, and my cat had all been ripped away. So this boy felt like he was a zombie. Zombie is a creature from some other land. So he felt himself to be like a zombie, and everything was new to him. He didn't know how to react because he was mentally stressed, and he wasn't able to cope up with the new surroundings. So he was in a kind of a mental stress. And everything, whatever he had, his house is now burnt, his cat is now lost, and his old school is now lost. Nothing is there for him that he can relate his emotions to. He felt that everything had been ripped away from him. Ripped away means what? Taken away forcefully, forcibly. So that is called as ripped. Taken away forcefully. When I walked through what used to be my house after school that day, I was shocked to see how much damage there was. Whatever hadn't burnt was destroyed by the water and the chemicals they had used to put out the fire. So when he walked past his house after the school, he found that everything had completely burnt, and if there were some items which hadn't burnt, they were destroyed, okay, because of the water and the chemicals which they used to put out the fire. So nothing was left. That's what he comes to say. The only material things not destroyed were the photo albums, documents, and some other personal items that my mother had managed to heroically rescue. So the things which were not destroyed were only certain items, the documents, the pictures of the fathers and the letter. All these things are now safe. Why? Because of the mother's rescue. She went inside the house and she rescued certain items, and because of that only they have something to have. But my cat was gone and my heart ached for her. There was no time to grieve. My mother rushed me out of the house. So the cat was gone and he was grieving for the loss and inside, but he didn't have time, okay, to sit and grieve over the loss. So the mother was pushing him out of the house. We would have to find a place to live and I would have to go buy some clothes for school. We had to borrow money from my grandparents because there were no credit cards, cash or even any identification to be able to withdraw money from the bank. Everything had gone up in smoke. So he had nothing, so he had to go for a purchase. Okay, he wanted dress, and for the purchase also they didn't have money because all the cards, the bank books, all the identification things had gone with the fire. So they had to borrow money from the grandparents. That week the rubble that used to be our house was being cleared off the lot. So the rubble is the debris, okay, after burning down the house, the waste materials, okay, those materials were cleared off from the place. Even though we had rented an apartment nearby, I would go over to watch them clear away debris, hoping that my cat was somewhere to be found. So this boy knows that the house is no more, it is burned down and they are clearing away the house. But every day he would go there and watch this debris being clean. Debris is the waste materials of the house. When you bring down a house, the bricks and the waste materials of the house is called as a debris. So he would go there and watch the house being cleared off, hoping that he would find his cat. She was gone. I kept thinking about her as that vulnerable little kitten. In the early morning, when I would disturb her and get out of bed, she would tag along after me, climb up by my rope and crawl into my pocket to fall asleep. I was missing her terribly. So that little creature was so vulnerable. Vulnerable is thing which can be easily hurt or attacked. Okay, a person or a thing which can be easily hurt or attacked, or weak. So the cat was vulnerable. It would have tried to save itself, but it is too weak to come fight back for life. So it would have died due to the fire. So he felt sorry for the little creature. And he was recollecting the memories of him with the cat and how he would disturb when the cat was sleeping and how the cat would crawl on him, fall asleep on him. All these things he was reminding. And he was missing the cat terribly. It always seems that bad news spreads quickly, and in my case it was no different. Everyone in high school, including teachers, was aware of my plight. So he is just telling that bad news spreads quickly when compared to the good news. Nobody would talk good about other people. If something bad is happening, it would go like a fire out. So he says that even in my case, the tragedy of mine has spread throughout the school. The teachers, the new children, everybody of the new school are aware of my incident. I was embarrassed as if somehow I were responsible. What a way to start off at a new school. So this boy was embarrassed. Embarrassed means he was not feeling comfortable. He was ashamed. Why? Because he felt as though he was responsible for the fire accident. The people were talking like that, making him seem guilty of the accident. This was not the kind of attention I was looking for. The next day at school, people were acting even more strange than usual. I already told you this boy was having some trouble not trouble, he was feeling it hard to go and get along with those new people. And moreover, the fire accident has taken place, everybody has started speaking behind him, and he really didn't have that mood, okay, to go and get along with him, because they are speaking about him. And the next day of the school, the children were acting even more weird, okay, everything was even more strange than usual. I was getting ready for gym class at my locker. People were milling around me, asking me to hurry up. I thought it strange, but in the light of the past few weeks, nothing would surprise me. So the people were milling around me. Milling around me means what? The people around him, all the students, they hurried him somewhere. They were telling him, okay, get along fast, get ready fast. Okay, they were asking him to hurry up. So he thought it to be a strange thing, because so long or nobody came and spoke with him, and now that everybody is asking him to change fast, move fast. But this boy was not surprised with the strangeness, because so long he had been encountering various strange situations. So this time also he was mentally ready for some strange incident. It almost seemed that they were trying to shove me into the gym. Then I saw why. So the children, what they did, they shove. Shove means they pushed him inside the gym. They pushed him inside the gym, and after entering the gym, he was able to understand why the children did so. There was a big table set up with all kinds of stuff on it just for me. They had taken up a collection and bought me school supplies, notebooks, all kinds of different clothes, jeans, tops, sweatsuits. So when he entered, when they pushed him inside the gym, there was a big table arranged, and on that table there were all varieties, okay, all varieties of things which were displayed. And they were like the school supplies were there, the notebooks were there, shoes were there, and different varieties of clothes were there. And the children, they had collected money, they had raised a fund, okay, and bought him clothes and things which he needed for school. It was like Christmas. I was overcome by emotion. People who had never spoken to me before were coming up to me to introduce themselves. So he felt like it was like Christmas, it was some festive season, because everything was new for him. And the thing which was even more strange was the students who were not talking with him, who were treating him strange, they now come themselves to introduce themselves to the narrator. They come and speak with him. So he was overcome by emotions. He felt so happy with the gesture of the children. I got all kinds of invitations to their houses. Their genuine outpouring of concern really touched me. So they were calling him for the houses, so that they know that this boy would need some friends. Okay, so they called him over to their houses, and they are genuine. Genuine is something which is real, is called as genuine. Their genuine outpouring. Outpouring is expressing of concern. Concern means of care. Really touched me. Okay, their real affection for me made some impact. This is what the narrator felt. In that instant, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and thought for the first time that things were going to be okay. So finally, okay, after all these tragedies, now he has come to a peaceful state. Okay, he was having so much of mental stress and everything around him was not good. But now, okay, he is giving a relief. A sigh of relief is a breath of relief, because he has now come and settled at a peaceful place. And for the first time, he thought that everything was going to be okay. So here we can find out that this boy has now got a new hope, okay, that his life in the future, okay, his days in the future is going to be really good. I made friends that day. A month later, I was at my house watching them rebuild it. But this time it was different. It wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. I was with two of my new friends from the school. So he had made friends on the quest. Okay, they came and introduced themselves, and he made some friends. So those friends accompanied him, and they all went and they sat to watch the rebuilding of the house. They were reconstructing the house, and the difference was this time he was not alone. He was coming and sitting there with few of his friends. It took a fire for me to stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up to all the wonderful people around me. So this boy has now realized, okay, he was suffering the problem of insecurity. He didn't want to go and meet new people because he was worried something bad might happen. So a fire accident, okay, it needed a fire accident for him to realize that he has to keep his mind open, be open to new people. Only then new things will start blooming inside life. And if he had to struggle with his own emotion, he would have been there only in the same place, okay, grudging about the same things. And since, okay, he has opened up his doors for others to come in, he was now at a state of happiness. He was able to relate with his own age group people, and now he is feeling himself. Now I was sitting there watching my house being rebuilt when I realized my life was doing the same thing. So when the house was rebuilt, he was also watching his feelings were also rebuilt, okay, and all the insecurities had been vanished. It has been brought down, and now his life, a new ray of hope, okay, has started in his life too. While we sat there on the curb planning my new bedroom, I heard someone walk up to me from behind and say, "Does this belong to you?" So when this boy was sitting on the pavement, okay, seeing his house being rebuilt, and somebody comes, okay, and touches him and asks him whether this is yours. When I turned around to see who it was, I couldn't believe my eyes. A woman was standing there holding my cat. So when he turned back, it was a huge surprise for him because there was a lady and she was holding the cat, the tabby, for him. I leapt up and grabbed her out of the woman's arms. I held her close to me and cried into that beautiful orange fur. I leapt up. I leapt up is he jumped out of his place due to the surprise. He leapt means what? He jumped. Okay, and he grabbed her. Grabbed her is to snatch away the cat, because this narrator was happy that he has got back the cat. So he is grabbing the cat out of her arms and then he is hugging the cat. She purred happily. My friends were hugging me, hugging the cat and jumping around. So it was an occasion of enjoyment. The cat is back. The life of him at the school has changed. A new life, okay, with the cat was making him so happy that they all started jumping along with happiness. Apparently, my cat had been so freaked by the fire that she ran over a mile away. Her collar had our phone number on it, but our phones had been destroyed and disconnected. And what happened to the cat was freaked out. Freaked out means it became frightened. So freaked is so frightened. It was afraid. So what it did, it ran away over a mile, and that lady and the cat had a collar with the phone number on it, but they weren't able to connect through the phone number because the phones were also dead due to the fire accident. The wonderful woman took her in and worked hard to find whose cat it was. Somehow she knew this cat was loved and sorely missed. So this lady, what she did, she didn't want to give up trying. So she worked hard to find out, because she knew that this cat would be a dear pet of somebody else and they would be missing the cat so badly. So she tried hard, okay, to find out the owner of the cat. As I sat there with my friends and my cat curled up in my lap, and all the overwhelming feelings of the loss and tragedy seemed to diminish. So he has got the cat, he has got the friends, and all of it are now full. He sat with the friends and all his tragedy has been diminishing. Diminishing is slowing down. Or reducing such that it vanishes away. So he was filled with overwhelming feelings. Overwhelming is too much of emotions or too much of feelings. Okay, all the feelings of loss and no hope were all diminishing for him. I felt gratitude for my life, my new friends, the kindness of the stranger, and the loud purr of my beloved cat. My cat was back, and so was I. So he was enjoying the warmth and the comfort of the cat, the comfort of the friends, and all his insecurity problem has now lost. Everything is back. His life is new. He is new. The cat is also new to him, and he started enjoying his life. I hope you would have enjoyed the lesson, children. See you all in another session. And please do subscribe our YouTube channel for more updates. See you, children.